long before he became one of the world's youngest self-made tech millionaires, before international headlines, before Silicon Valley investors, and before selling a startup for tens of millions of dollars. Nick D'Aloisio was simply a curious boy growing up in London. His full name is Nick D'Aloisio. He was born on November 1, 1995 in London, England. He grew up in a Greek-Australian family that placed a strong emphasis on education, curiosity, and independent thinking. Unlike many future technology founders who grew up surrounded by computers and engineers, Nick's greatest advantage wasn't the expensive equipment. It was curiosity. From an early age, he constantly asked questions. How do websites work? How are games created? How do computers understand instructions? Instead of simply using technology, he wanted to understand how it was built. As a child, he became fascinated by software, computers, programming, mobile phones, and the rapidly growing internet. While many children spent hours only playing games, Nick became interested in creating things himself. He enjoyed solving problems, experimenting, learning new programming languages, and discovering how digital products were made. The early 2000s became one of the most exciting periods in technology history. Google continued expanding, Facebook was growing rapidly, YouTube changed online video forever. Then in 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone. The smartphone revolution had officially begun. For millions of teenagers, the iPhone became a device for entertainment. For Nick, it became an opportunity. When Apple later launched the App Store, thousands of developers suddenly had access to millions of customers around the world. Nick immediately recognized the potential. He began teaching himself programming. There were no expensive private tutors, no university degree, no formal computer science education. Instead, he learned by reading documentation, watching online tutorials, studying programming books, testing code, making mistakes, fixing bugs, and trying again. Hour after hour, day after day, programming quickly became more than a hobby. It became an obsession. At an age when many teenagers were still discovering what interested them, Nick had already found his passion. Around the age of 12 and 13, he began building his first mobile applications for the iPhone. They were simple, far from perfect, but each project taught him something new. User interfaces, programming logic, software design, problem solving. Most importantly, he learned how to finish projects. Many people have ideas, very few actually build them. Every completed application improved his skills. Every mistake became another lesson. Every new project increased his confidence. His parents encouraged learning, but they also expected discipline. School remained important. Homework still had to be completed. Like many young entrepreneurs, Nick learned to balance education with personal projects. Days were filled with classes. Evenings often became programming sessions. Weekends turned into development marathons. Friends remember that he spent enormous amounts of time thinking about technology, not because anyone forced him, but because he genuinely enjoyed creating software. Unlike many people who dreamed about becoming rich, Nick focused on building useful products. He believed that if you solve real problems, success often follows naturally. This philosophy would later define his entire career. Another important advantage separated him from many young programmers. He paid close attention to user experience. Technology should not only work, it should also be simple, fast, elegant, and enjoyable to use. That mindset became incredibly valuable. As smartphones became more popular, millions of people faced new problems. Information overload, too much content, too many websites, too many articles, too little time. Nick noticed those problems long before many experienced entrepreneurs. By the time Nick D'Aloisio turned 15, he had already spent years teaching himself how to build software. He understood programming, mobile applications, user experience, and something even more important, he understood problems. The best startups don't begin with technology, they begin with solving something people struggle with every day. Around 2011, Nick noticed a problem that millions of smartphone users experienced. The internet was producing more information than ever before. Every day, thousands of news articles appeared online: politics, business, sports, technology, entertainment, science. People wanted to stay informed, but they didn't have enough time to read everything. Most news articles were several hundred, sometimes thousands of words long. Reading dozens of them every day became impossible. Nick asked himself one simple question. What if a smartphone could automatically summarize long articles into just a few important sentences? That single idea would completely change his life. At only 15 and 16 years old, he began developing an application originally called Trimit. The goal was ambitious: use artificial intelligence and natural language processing to automatically shorten long articles while preserving the most important information. Building such technology wasn't easy. Automatic summarization was still a relatively new field. The software needed to understand language, identify key information, remove unnecessary sentences, and produce summaries that people could actually understand. Nick spent countless hours writing code, testing algorithms, improving accuracy, fixing mistakes, restarting entire sections of the project. Again and again, eventually the application evolved into something much better. He renamed it Summary. The new name reflected its purpose perfectly. Summaries first, simple, mobile first. The app allowed users to consume news in seconds rather than minutes. Instead of reading an entire article, users could quickly understand the main story. For busy people, this felt revolutionary. The idea quickly attracted attention, not only from users but from investors. One of the first major believers was Li Ka-shing, one of the world's most respected investors. When someone of his reputation invests in a teenager startup, the entire technology industry notices. Soon other well-known investors joined: technology entrepreneurs, venture capital firms, Silicon Valley executives, experienced startup founders. Everyone wanted to learn more about the teenager building AI-powered news summaries from his bedroom. Nick suddenly found himself speaking with people he had previously only read about online. Meetings that many entrepreneurs spent years trying to secure were now happening while he was still in high school. Silicon Valley became interested. Technology companies began watching closely. Investors recognized something important. This wasn't simply another mobile application. It represented a possible future for consuming information. Media coverage exploded. BBC, CNN, The New York Times, The Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Bloomberg, technology magazines, newspapers around the world. Everyone wanted to interview the teenage programmer from London. The story fascinated people: a teenager competing in artificial intelligence, building a startup, receiving millions of dollars in investment interest, without finishing university, without working for a large technology company, without a massive team. The app itself continued improving. The user interface became cleaner. The summarization algorithms became smarter. Performance became faster. Customer feedback shaped every update. Nick understood something experienced entrepreneurs often emphasize: products improve by listening to users, not by guessing what they want. Downloads increased rapidly. Thousands of users became hundreds of thousands. Technology reviewers praised the concept. Many described Summary as one of the most exciting mobile startups in Europe. Apple featured the application. Technology conferences invited Nick to speak. Business schools discussed his journey. Investors praised his maturity. Despite worldwide attention, Nick remained focused on one goal: building the best possible product. He continued studying, programming, meeting investors, giving interviews, and improving Summary, all while still living the life of a teenager. His remarkable journey demonstrated something powerful: great ideas are not limited by age. Innovation does not require decades of experience. Sometimes fresh perspectives solve problems that older industries have accepted for years. By the age of 16, Nick D'Aloisio had already achieved something extraordinary. He had built one of the world's most talked about mobile startups. He had earned the respect of Silicon Valley. He had attracted international investors. And he had proven that young entrepreneurs could compete with the biggest technology companies. But the biggest moment was still ahead. Soon one of the largest internet companies in the world would decide that this teenage programmer's idea was worth tens of millions of dollars. By 2012, Nick D'Aloisio was no longer just a talented teenager writing code in his bedroom. He had built one of the most talked about mobile applications in the technology industry. Summary had attracted global media attention. Major venture capital firms were investing. Silicon Valley executives were watching closely. Technology journalists called him one of the brightest young entrepreneurs in the world, but nobody yet imagined what would happen next. Among the companies paying close attention was one of the biggest names on the internet, Yahoo. At that time, Yahoo was searching for new mobile technologies. The company wanted to modernize its products, improve the way people consumed information, and compete with rapidly growing technology giants. Summly perfectly matched that vision. Its artificial intelligence could summarize long articles into short, easy-to-read news snippets. Exactly the type of mobile experience Yahoo wanted. Conversations began. Executives met with Nick, lawyers reviewed contracts, investors participated in negotiations. Everything happened remarkably quickly. Then in March 2013, the announcement shocked the technology world. Yahoo officially acquired Summly. The reported value of the deal was approximately $30 million in cash and stock. Nick D'Aloisio was only 17 years old. Almost overnight, he became one of the youngest self-made tech millionaires in history. Newspapers around the world featured his story. Television stations interviewed him. Business magazines placed him on their covers. The teenage programmer from London had just completed one of the most remarkable startup exits ever achieved by someone his age. But many people misunderstood what had actually happened. Yahoo wasn't buying a popular app, it was buying something much more valuable. The technology, the algorithms, the intellectual property, the engineering talent, and the future potential. In the technology industry, ideas alone are really worth millions. Working products are. Summly had already proven that people wanted faster ways to consume information. Its technology solved a real problem that made it valuable. After the acquisition, Nick joined Yahoo as part of its mobile product team. Instead of leaving the company completely, he continued working on news technology. His software became integrated into Yahoo as mobile news products. For many teenagers, receiving a university acceptance letter is the biggest milestone at 17. For Nick, it was signing one of the largest startup acquisition agreements of the year. His success also taught millions of young programmers an important lesson. Technology startups create wealth in very different ways from traditional businesses. Most people imagine companies becoming profitable first, then growing slowly over decades. Technology often works differently. Many startups focus first on solving an important problem, building a product, growing users, improving technology, and proving market demand. If the solution becomes valuable enough, large corporations may purchase the company. This process is called a startup acquisition or an exit. Large companies buy startups for many reasons: to acquire technology, to eliminate future competition, to hire talented engineers, to expand into new markets, or to accelerate innovation. Sometimes a startup with little revenue can still be worth millions because its technology has enormous future potential. Another important part of startup finance is venture capital. Instead of borrowing money from banks, many technology founders receive investment from venture capital firms. These investors provide funding in exchange for ownership shares. If the company later becomes very valuable, everyone benefits: founders, employees, and investors. This is exactly what happened with Summly. Early investors who believed in Nick's vision also earned significant returns. Employees of successful startups often receive stock options. Rather than only receiving salaries, they receive the opportunity to own part of the company. If the startup is eventually sold, those shares can become worth millions. This system has helped create thousands of technology millionaires throughout Silicon Valley. Nick's story inspired an entire generation of young programmers. He proved that you didn't need decades of business experience. You didn't need to wait until you were 40. You didn't need enormous resources. You needed a valuable idea, technical skill, persistence, and the courage to solve real problems. His achievement changed how many people viewed young entrepreneurs. Age became less important, ability became more important. Innovation became more important, execution became everything. The teenager who once built iPhone applications after school had now sold a company for approximately $30 million. But surprisingly, money was not the end of his journey, it became the beginning. Instead of retiring, Nick continued building, investing, learning, working with some of the world's largest technology companies. Because for true entrepreneurs, one successful exit is never the final destination. It is simply the first chapter of a much bigger career. Most people dream of becoming a millionaire. Many imagine that once they achieve financial success, they will stop working forever. Nick D'Aloisio chose a completely different path. After selling Summit to Yahoo for approximately $30 million, he didn't retire. He didn't disappear from the technology world. Instead, he went to work. As part of the acquisition agreement, Nick joined Yahoo to continue developing the very technology that had attracted the company in the first place. He became one of the youngest employees ever hired into such an important product role at a major global technology company. While many people his age were preparing for university, Nick was attending meetings with experienced software engineers, product managers, artificial intelligence researchers, executives, and some of the brightest technology professionals in Silicon Valley. Working inside Yahoo taught him lessons that no classroom could provide. He learned how large technology companies build products used by hundreds of millions of people, how global software teams collaborate, how engineering decisions affect millions of users, how products are tested, improved, scaled, and continuously updated. One of his main areas of work remained digital news. The technology behind Summit continued evolving inside Yahoo. As mobile news platform, artificial intelligence became increasingly important. Algorithms improved. Personalized recommendations became smarter. Mobile reading experiences became faster. The project that had started as a teenager's experiment now influenced one of the world's largest internet companies. Nick also continued learning. Technology changes rapidly. Successful entrepreneurs never stop studying machine learning, artificial intelligence, mobile software, product design, business strategy, data analysis. Every year brought new opportunities. As his reputation continued growing, business magazines began recognizing his achievements. He was included in Forbes 30 Under 30, one of the world's most prestigious lists celebrating young entrepreneurs, innovators, investors, scientists, and business leaders. The recognition placed him alongside some of the most promising founders of his generation. By then, Nick had become much more than the teenager who sold an app. He had become a respected technology entrepreneur. Conference organizers invited him to speak. Universities asked him to share his experience. Startup founders wanted advice. Investors listened carefully to his opinions about emerging technology. After several years at Yahoo, Nick explored new opportunities. Like many successful entrepreneurs, he understood that innovation never stops. The technology industry constantly creates new challenges, new markets, new companies, new ideas. He became increasingly interested in artificial intelligence. Long before I became one of the hottest topics in the world, Nick recognized its enormous potential. Artificial intelligence was no longer limited to summarizing news articles. It could transform healthcare, finance, education, entertainment, scientific research, software development, nearly every industry. He also became involved with new technology startups, some as an entrepreneur, some as an advisor, some as an investor. Successful founders often become investors because they understand something very valuable: what makes great companies succeed. Young entrepreneurs frequently approached Nick for advice: how to raise funding, how to build products, how to present ideas to investors, how to scale technology companies. His own experience made his guidance incredibly valuable. He had personally experienced every stage: building a product, finding users, raising investment, negotiating acquisitions, working inside a global technology company, and continuing to innovate afterward. Investing became another important chapter of his career. Rather than spending all of his wealth, he focused on helping new companies grow. Technology startups, artificial intelligence businesses, software companies, digital innovation, supporting the next generation of entrepreneurs. This is common among successful technology founders. Today, a startup founder often becomes tomorrow's investor. The cycle continues. Innovation creates more innovation. Throughout his career, Nick remained remarkably humble. Despite becoming wealthy at an extremely young age, he continued emphasizing learning, curiosity, hard work, and solving meaningful problems. He rarely spoke about luxury. Instead, he spoke about technology, education, innovation, and building products that genuinely improve people's lives. His story also demonstrated an important truth about entrepreneurship. Selling one company is not the end of success, it is often only the beginning. The experience, knowledge, network, and credibility gained from one successful startup can open doors for countless future opportunities. Today, Nick D'Aloisio is recognized as one of the pioneers of a new generation of technology entrepreneurs. A generation that proved remarkable companies can be created by people barely old enough to vote. His journey continues inspiring programmers around the world, especially young developers who wonder whether age limits opportunity. Nick's career provides the answer. Innovation does not ask how old you are. It asks one simple question: can you solve a problem better than anyone else? For Nick D'Aloisio, that question changed his life forever, and his greatest lesson would ultimately become even bigger than technology itself. Every generation produces a few entrepreneurs who completely change the way people think. Some build global corporations after decades of experience. Others spend years climbing the corporate ladder before launching their first company. Nick D'Aloisio proved something entirely different. Sometimes a teenager with a laptop, a curious mind, and one great idea can change an entire industry. His story is not simply about selling an application. It is about recognizing a problem that millions of people faced every single day. Information overload, too many articles, too little time. Instead of accepting that problem, Nick decided to solve it. He didn't wait until graduating from university. He didn't wait until finding a large team. He didn't wait until someone gave him permission. He simply started building. Line by line, day after day, every version became better than the previous one. Every mistake became another lesson. Every failure improved the final product. That process represents the true heart of entrepreneurship. Success rarely appears overnight. Even stories that seem instant usually hide thousands of hours of invisible work. When Yahoo purchased many newspapers focused only on one number, $30 million. But the money was only the result. The real achievement happened long before the acquisition. The achievement was creating something valuable enough that one of the world's biggest technology companies wanted to own it. That is the true measure of innovation. Nick also helped change how investors viewed young entrepreneurs. Before his success, many people believed that building valuable technology companies required decades of experience. Nick demonstrated something else. Young people often understand new technology better than anyone else. They grow up with it. They recognize problems earlier. They think differently. And sometimes they discover solutions older industries completely overlook. His success inspired thousands of teenagers around the world. Young programmers, students, developers, future entrepreneurs. Many realized that age was no longer the biggest obstacle. Knowledge became available online. Programming could be learned from anywhere. Innovation could begin in a bedroom instead of a corporate office. Today, artificial intelligence has become one of the fastest growing industries in history. Many people discussing modern AI products may not realize that Nick D'Aloisio was already experimenting with intelligent text summarization years before AI became a global trend. He helped demonstrate that software could understand information, organize it, and present it more efficiently. That vision continues influencing technology today. Throughout his career, Nick never stopped learning. Technology evolves every year. Programming languages change. Artificial intelligence improves. New platforms appear. Successful entrepreneurs understand one simple truth: the moment you stop learning, you begin falling behind. That mindset became one of Nick's greatest competitive advantages. Curiosity remained stronger than comfort. Innovation remained more important than celebrating past success. Even after becoming a millionaire, he continued building, investing, learning, supporting new startups, exploring new technologies. Because true entrepreneurs rarely define themselves by one success. They define themselves by continuous growth. His story also teaches another important lesson. Great companies rarely begin with dreams of becoming rich. They begin with solving real problems. Money follows value. Investments follow innovation. Acquisitions follow useful products. The companies that change the world usually focus first on helping people. Only later do they become incredibly valuable. Today, Nick D'Aloisio is recognized as one of the most successful young technology entrepreneurs of his generation. His journey has become a case study in universities, business schools, startup incubators, and technology conferences around the world. From a teenager writing code in his bedroom to building a company worth tens of millions of dollars, his story continues inspiring future innovators across every continent. Perhaps his greatest legacy is not the money he earned, nor the company he sold, nor the headlines he created. His greatest legacy is proving that extraordinary ideas can come from ordinary people, regardless of age, regardless of background, regardless of experience. Because the future belongs to those who continue asking questions, continue learning, continue solving problems, and refuse to believe that they are too young to change the world. The greatest lesson of Nick D'Aloisio's story is simple: age never determines success. Curiosity does, knowledge does, persistence does, the courage to experiment does, and the willingness to transform one simple idea into an innovative product capable of changing an entire industry can change your life forever.